Fire me then. I have free speech. This is a public entity. You want to go down that road.
If this is the only message that I'm able to get out, it's important that at the very least that this message gets out. To anyone paying attention, I was very recently forcibly removed from Facebook. I believe that I was removed because I was reported. It's not my first time being removed from Facebook, and in the spirit of transparency, I used to help admin a military humor Facebook page way 15 or so years ago. That was F and Knife Hands, and we'd been removed multiple times. It wasn't actually until I had stepped away from that page in 2020 and was going to school for Homeland Security and Emergency Management. During that time, during the 2020 protests in Portland, I was working as a whistleblower for Oregon State senators and congressmen. I was down at the protests, at the fence line during 2020, observing what was happening, and after I made personal, private testimony to Oregon State senators and congressmen about the things that I witnessed from federal law enforcement, very shortly after my page was removed. And the difference between when it was removed then and when it was whenever I've had it removed in the past, you know, being an admin for certain Facebook pages, is that I was not allowed any opportunity to appeal, and they at first would not list a reason. Anyone who has ever had a page on Facebook removed, or if they say that you're on, generally you normally get a warning and then they pull your page, but they'll list the reason or the offending post or whatever it is before, give you a chance or give you an opportunity to appeal it. It wasn't until 2020 when I was whistleblowing against the federal occupation in Portland that I have ever been forcibly removed from Facebook without the chance to appeal and without an explanation given. Now, I will say that Facebook did shortly afterwards give me a reason as to why they removed my page, but they would not allow me to appeal it, and they said that it was some form of a firearm or drug or other, violation of their community standards. So all I can assume is that I had a profile picture of myself standing next to the 2020 vice presidential nominee, Spike Cohen. Both of us were holding firearms. The significance of that photo and the reason why I had it as my profile picture at this time, currently, is actually not so much the fact that I'm standing next to Spike Cohen, because Spike is a great person. Like, you can meet him on the street and yeah, he'll let you take a picture. It was more so about what was happening in the background of that photo, and the fact that you can see his tour bus, and immediately next to the tour bus is my vehicle, the Explorer, that is parked currently 20 feet from me in my driveway. And I had shared that because currently, right now, and the reason why I believe that my Facebook was removed, is I am in an open confrontation, an argument with the current administration at Elk County Sheriff's Department. The only other time, again, that I have ever had a Facebook account completely removed with no chance to appeal, with no explanation immediately given, that's important. Normally if you're adminning a page, they will almost immediately reference whatever the post was that was against community standards, that caused you to have the warning or be in Facebook timeout. Generally it's a week, 2 weeks, sometimes a month. The only other time that I've ever had that happened where it was an immediate revocation of my Facebook account with no explanation given. They gave an explanation after I started trying to hit the appeal button, all that sort of stuff. But I still can't appeal it. The only other time that happened was 2020, after I worked with a group of combat veterans, of OIF and OEF veterans. Every one of us on that group had been on a combat deployment, however you want to describe that. And we testified to Oregon State senators and congressmen about what we had seen that was happening with the federal occupation in Portland, Oregon. Given my experience between monitoring a page that used to have tens of, if not hundreds of thousands of followers, to the only time that I've ever been unpublished was when I testified against the federal government. It is my personal belief that someone in law enforcement this time reported my account. It's the only other time that it's ever happened. And multiple people who were documenting or whistleblowing or informing or video documenting the 2020 protests in Portland had multiple of their accounts taken down, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So that being said, I just feel that it's important because I don't know what they're going to do right now to get a little bit of information out. The last post that I made in Facebook was informing my community that I was going to have an important meeting coming up next week. That meeting was actually with Spike Cohen's current nonprofit organization. In 2020, I actually did some security consulting, and part of that was for Spike Cohen's platform for his visit to Portland. I did the recon and site surveillance, all that sort of stuff. And there's a reason why, again, my vehicle, that again is parked 20 feet away from me right now, is behind the 2020 Libertarian Party Vice President nominee's tour bus. So I reached out. A lot of people don't know that that's something that I have done. I don't normally share it, but I had recently let it be known, hoping that the sheriffs here would see the writing on the wall and maybe back off. That's not what happened. But I had shared a post that basically stated that next week I was going to have an important meeting with a group, Spike Cohen's group. It's called You Are the Power. You can look them up. That group is very specifically focused on government accountability and transparency in regards to corruption. Very specifically, something that they offer that a lot of other social media, YouTube, podcasts, or whatever don't offer is that they serve as intermediaries to provide resources for communities that are affected in those situations where they feel that there's some sort of corruption. So for people who feel that they can't speak out, you know, county employees, or just if you live in a small rural area and you're worried about speaking up and you're worried about the retaliation, Elk County, look at our population. Anyone here who speaks up is in fear of retaliation. Specifically, my post addressed the fact that I was going to make sure that I was going to bring those resources to Elk County so that people who wanted to speak up could without fear of retaliation. I believe, and I may be wrong, I believe that was the last post that I made. That being said, I believe that the post or the whatever that they reported that got me pulled from Facebook is the fact that I had my profile picture set as me when I was consulting for the 2020 vice president nominee, Spike Cohen, and it should be the profile picture that is my profile picture for this account as well. You should be able to look at it. I wasn't sharing it because I was standing next to Spike. I was sharing it because my fucking truck, and I apologize for my language, my Explorer is right behind Spike Cohen's tour bus. I didn't let a lot of people know that for a reason, because I don't care what people think about it, you know? But things here in Elk County have gotten to the point where if you try to speak up, if you try to offer space for someone to tell their story, that you're going to be targeted. So I felt that sharing just that little tiny bit was enough to maybe get them to back off, but they doubled down, and it is what it is now. And that's why we're here now. So all of that being said, I might end up doing another post where I address all of the personal attacks that have been done to me, about how I have been tried to be silenced, you know. As it goes right now, the town that I live in, we do not have communication with the rest of the county's emergency management resources, fire. I work with the fire department. I am on the fire department here. It's a volunteer fire department. One of the deputies on the sheriff's department, after numerous times, and you can look up on either Lawrence Accountability or Kansas Freedom News, and I apologize if I got either of those wrong, Dreaded Accountability as well. You can look up on any of their pages what has happened, and you'll see some of my story. My story isn't important. I have nothing to add besides this microcosm of events. But I had heard one of the deputies tell dispatch, because again, I have a radio because we all need to communicate together. I had told them to, or he had told dispatch to call Oregon DMV. This is after driving by multiple days and having them check my license plate. I'm from Oregon. I'm married. Me and my wife, we own property in Oregon. We have a child who goes to a public school in Oregon. my private vehicle that is less than 10,000 pounds it still meets the requirements to be plated in Oregon. Oregon considers me a resident. I'm just on an extended vacation over here right now, and it wasn't enough for that deputy, so he wanted dispatch to call, and so I made the mistake of informing him over Facebook. I have made public Facebook comments addressed to the Elk County Sheriff's Department, because specifically Elk County Sheriff's Department has removed their Facebook account. I believe they removed them. I can't say that with 100% certainty, because anyone who speaks out against them, they block. This is important because they keep their public comment section open for comment, which means as a public entity that those are now public forums. I spoke out against them for one operation. I wasn't even trying to blast them. It was just tactical sort of consideration that was poorly executed, whatever. But I was blocked. So that deputy had, I let him know that, hey, quit trying to break the law, over public communication, whether or not that communication, and it is a trunked communication, but it's still open to public records, requests. So I'll be honest and say with, 100% transparency, I do not personally know if that runs afoul of any sort of law of sharing, private communication, whatever. But any one of you can make a public records request, and if you want to, let me know in the comments, and I'll find the date for it, and you can look it up. And Deputy Love did make that call, but I put him on blast for that, and they've backed off of being able to trying to push anything. They said that they were going to hit me for interference and all sorts of other stuff. They're just trying to fabricate charges, and we have this all documented again on Lawrence Accountability, Kansas Freedom News. Dreaded Rabble Rouser has been here and has done some reports on it. Benghazi Rabbit, covered some of this as well. If you want to laugh, Benghazi Rabbit is the guy to go to. I don't have to agree with every single one of their viewpoints, but that man has a way to speak. Anyway, I don't know what they're going to do at this point in time. I was led to believe that as of right now, the district courts will not put their names on any documents attached to Elk County Sheriffs, to say directly that the district 13 judges will not sign any warrants for Elk County Sheriff's Office, but apparently they're going to try to find any other sort of way to, work around. They shut down, the big thing about calling Deputy Love out is that the sheriff then shut down the entirety of my town's volunteer fire department communication, so that we cannot access the main public communication. They have, that sheriff department has shared my sealed and expunged records from when I was a week 18, meaning I was arrested for a crime when I was 18. Again, comment section. Anyone wants to talk to me about it, we can do it. I'll make an episode about it. That's fine. Not the point of it. There's a difference between a public record, a sealed record, and an expunged record. And I know that it was someone who had access to those records. I know. Okay? So, if anything happens to me, I just want someone to be able to contact, obviously, Spike Cohen, or you are the power. And I want them to contact them so that this investigation can continue. Because for me, this isn't necessarily about getting Sheriff Walker out of here, or Deputy Love out of here. This is about figuring out where the corruption stops. And we do know, we have reason to believe, we have documentation that this corruption is not just with the sheriffs, that it at least goes to the DA, if not farther. As well, just a small list of people that I would like, contacted should anything happen to me, should I disappear, should you never hear anything about me. Professor Lori Halling, she's the director of emergency management, former deputy director of emergency management in the state of Oregon, and the director of Homeland Security Emergency Management Program, formerly of Concordia. I believe that it is Idaho right now. It may be one other state. She was the program director, like I said, of emergency management and Homeland Security at Concordia when I went to school there. And I would personally like her notified, because this is a whistleblower sort of situation, and she has experience with that. As well, there's a few personal names, personal people. I know my Facebook is no longer up there, but if you end up looking up my unit, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, Weapons Company, you will find these people, most of these people. And I want them notified as well, because you know what? I didn't call in my personal favors, Elk County Sheriff's Office. I didn't call in my personal favors, but I am now. So if anything happens to me, I just want these people notified. William Burroughs, Stephen James, Kyle Zellhart, Scott Schmick, Justin Beasley, he's just across the state line over in Missouri, I believe. David Wood, Tyler Moog, Corporal Keith Lindy, Tyler Stoker, John Vigil, Brandon Dorsey, Jimmy Ballard, aka Peacetime, Nathan Ball. If you start connecting with them, if I disappear, don't worry about it beforehand, but if for some reason I'm not posting, I'm not saying anything, no one can get a hold of me, I want those people contacted. So it just so happens to be that, like, again, I had referenced it, that the sheriff was, or is one of his deputies, the sheriff is up for election, so it's been his deputy that has, one specific deputy that has been his arm to push forward anyone who would speak against him. So before they started doing, contacting Oregon DMV, they were harassing me about, my plates. Again, I'm an Oregon citizen. Oregon considers me a citizen, and I ended up having to look up a lot of records, but, I have because accountability and transparency and people's credibility have been called into question. Just my rewards, those are actually my grandfather's right there. 27, 30 something, I think it was almost 30 years. Those are mine, whatever. Military veteran, no big deal. These are my personal, I know you can't quite see them, but my personal cards for when I was the president of the Veterans Association at Mount Hood Community College. Call up Mount Hood Community College, ask for Josh and Veteran Services, they'll confirm that. What is this one? I only have this information because I just had to go through all of my stuff to find documentation to be able to change my tags if I needed to. I found out I didn't need to, so I know it looks weird that I have all of this stuff, but it was just stuff that was out already. VA CPAP stuff, birth certificate, place of birth, Fort Lewis. That's like Credence Clearwater sort of born in America shit right there. Fort Lewis. Let's see, what else do I have here? What's this one? My VA letter stating my character of discharge. Well, I also have that right here. So, character of discharge. Honorable discharge, certifying that Lance Corporal Jonathan Leroy Dupuis was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps. So, there's that one. Well, let's see, what else? Character of discharge, VA benefits, service connection, disability. I'm not going to show you all that because that's, you know. But service connected disability, all that, service connected disabled veteran. Let's see. VA claim, honorable. DD 214, certified true copy. You all don't need to see that though, you know, it's whatever. But they like to tell lies, so, you know, we're just going to go through all of this, you know. It's my Kansas ID. I no longer have. I have an Oregon ID, but I did have a Kansas ID at one point in time. Kansas was my home of record for the United States military when I joined the Marine Corps. My TAD, temporary additional duty, for my last year in the Marine Corps, as an instructor controller at 29 Palms Mojave Viper. That actually does bear some sort of a significance to this, which was my first negative interaction with the Sheriff's Department. They brought in an outside agency, I think it was Montgomery County SWAT team, that they don't share information with, they don't train with, any of that sort of thing. They ran a raid on 2 buildings next to each other, 2 houses next to each other. They didn't have any sort of an outer cordon. That was my only thing. I actually sat there and blocked off one street for them because my grandmother lives a block down the street. And anyone in this town knows Tiny Grandma. Tiny Grandma is my grandma. That's where she got the name. And she can't see, she can't barely hear. She would have walked onto that scene, so I held a blocking position on the outside of a blind corner so that no one turned into an active scene. It was 100 yards maybe, you know, from multiple different agencies with rifles drawn on a building. 3 different vehicles almost attempted to go into an active rifle drawn sort of scene, but my vehicle stopped them from that. I wasn't even going to make a scene about it. I just wanted to talk to the sheriff, Walker, about it and be like, hey, bud, next time you do this, here's a few ways that you can do it to, you know, set up an outer cordon so that community doesn't get hurt. But he likes to himself off, and while he was on the scene and before the scene was closed, he made sure that someone wrote for him, because he can't write at a competent level on Facebook that a sheriff should. Check that. Check what I just said. Trust me on it. He made sure that that press release was out, and the big thing was that security to the community was of the highest priority. And at that point, like, no, fuck, it wasn't. So, you know, game on. I wasn't gonna fight with you at that point. Again, I wasn't gonna fight with you at that point. You made that happen, you dumb motherfucker. What is this? You all shall see these presents and greetings. Oh, this is my warrant for award for corporal right there. Copy of it right there. I got that when I was on the 31st meal. 31st meal that we actually served, whether or not you're with Obama or whatever, but we were the air and ground QRF trap force for, it was like the one of the G summits that he did out in Southeast Asia, you know, whatever. But why would I know anything about how to deploy vehicles in a tactical situation, you know, whatever. Fuck you, Walker. By the way, need to say it right there, because I just said, you know, fuck you, Walker. This man, 2 weeks ago, showed up to an accident that I was involved in. I was a passenger in an accident, and he did not come to the scene until after our names would have been thrown over dispatch. He was one of the last people on scene. He drove completely through the middle of the scene. He ended up actually blocking briefly for a second there the guy that was working to tow our vehicle away from it. I wasn't with our vehicle right there. I had just got done escorting someone. I was working on the scene that I was just on. Escorting someone to the restroom. And on my way back, I was able to watch him drive through the middle of the scene, block people off, and obstruct, their work. And the entire time he was actually looking at the vehicle, because again, like I said, our names had already gone over dispatch, so he would have known who was involved in that accident. Specifically myself and one other person that was involved in the incident. A week, maybe prior, had tried to go up to the sheriff's department, and I stood next to her. I wasn't involved with anything that was going on at that point. She tried to request public records, and Deputy Love then cited us with an obstruction charge. It's gone nowhere, but yeah, so he showed up and he was trying to look for our vehicle, and in the safety of his own vehicle, not when he was talking to Rule. Share this because I want the community to know, because the community got this little bit mixed up. I wasn't talking about, in my post that is no longer there, I wasn't talking about when he was talking and joking with Rural Fire Department. I was talking about when he was in his private vehicle. When he was in his private vehicle, he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings, which is probably why he drove into the middle of an active scene and was looking to see who was in front of that vehicle so he could laugh at them. And that's what he did. The sheriff showed up after figuring out who was involved in that accident, just so that he could laugh at them. Anyway, it's my limited top secret clearance, limited because of the weapon system I was on, whatever. Sharing stuff like that because they're trying to share, sealed and expunged records, whatever. But those sealed and expunged records that are against me never stopped me from that, or my year of, EMT, going to my first year EMTs. Never stopped me from pursuing, the program at Concordia University that was specifically set up by DHS. It's a huge difference separation. DHS set that program up in Concordia, Portland specifically, not the other way around. DHS was in charge of that program. They set it up. Never stopped me from getting involved in that. Never stopped me from going to my own courthouse here in Elk County and getting my license, my fire license. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to see if I have that. Where is that at? Oh, right here. This license right here that is issued by DHS. Never stopped me. But go ahead and keep leaking sealed and expunged records. Let's see. Again, for residency requirements, that's my business registration for the state of Oregon. Assume business name, type entity, business activity, custom rifle manufacturing and assembly, principal place of business, name and address, registrant and owner, Jonathan L. Dupuis, counties, Clackamas, Multnomah, title, registrant, date signed, 02/04/2019. Why are you trying to check where I'm a resident of? Is it for the same reason that you wanted to get my Facebook page removed? Because I am not the criteria for the people that you are trying to silence? Because I have credibility? because I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Separations, whatever. None of this fucking matters at this point. Here's the thing. If I disappear, contact who I said. Specifically, Spike Cohen, You Are the Power, Lori Holleen, William Burroughs. I don't know if you remember, but we talked about having a plan when we got out of service, moving down to like New Mexico and all that sort of stuff. And this sheriff, I haven't even shared why I'm going after this sheriff. Start the wood chippers, okay? Start the wood chippers. If I disappear, you don't hear from me, you know why. But I won't be silenced.